Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, I have got an episode for you today. Welcome back to another episode of Attempting Not to Get Sacked. We are fast approaching the end of the second season. It is getting very tight at the top of the table. Like, very tight. I mean, tighter than the shorts I'm wearing right now, which I really should be taking off, although I don't really want to be recording in my underwear. Not really sure why you needed to know that. In the last episode, we took on both Aston Villa and West Brom, and in the Aston Villa game, Ben Gibson, who's cost me $17.5 million this year, the amount of times I'm going to bring that up is going to be astounding. He handed Aston Villa the win by headering it to John McGinn to give him a 2-1 win. And then in the game against West Brom, Nick Powell equalised very late on to get us a 2-2 draw, which I thought would keep us top of the league for at least another week, but then Norwich powered through and took first place off us. And if you're going to ask me, Proudy, that must have changed by now. It hasn't. Following the draw away at West Brom, we took on Sheffield Wednesday away from home at Hillsborough. Nick Powell gets off to a great start by scoring this halfway line goal after goalkeeper Cameron Dawson kicked the ball straight to him. And then we doubled our lead into the second half as Elias Kachunga then found Steve Mounier, but his shot was saved, and then Elias Kachunga put in the rebound. Elias Kachunga now is the replacement for Ollie Burke because he's got himself injured for quite a while. Following that, we then took on Rotherham United at home, and Con Ian got his first goal for the club with this close range strike after Nick Powell's free kick was saved. We followed that up with a 0-0 draw against Swansea, which meant we bottled our chance of going top of the league because Norwich then ended up winning in the 90th minute as well after being 1-0 down. But in this episode, we do take on Derby County away from home, and we do have 3 more games after this, so the next episode will focus on the last 2 games of the season. I can't wait to bottle it and end up in the playoffs. And as I mentioned in the results, Ollie Burke is out for the season, and apparently he's had a recurring injury with his back. Oh great, so I've signed a player for $9 million who has a back problem, and they didn't even tell me. I really don't know what side Paul Clement is batting for, because last week he said that Stoke were the favourites for the title, and now Stoke have lost. He's now said that we are still within a shout of winning the title, but then he'll probably go next week and say, yeah, we got no chance because Chris Proud's the manager. We've had some great news this week as well, because the under-18s won their Division 3 Cup final, because last season they actually lost it in the final. And I also found out that they won the league, so they've actually got a double. And they also won the league unbeaten. I mean, we should really get rid of the under-18s because they're probably too talented for us. Adama Diakabe has also wanted to be transfer listed because he's only played 5 times this year. And after checking the social media, Ellis tweeted out that he got Diakabe on the back of his shirt. Why? I mean, why would you do that? Like, I'm not going to offer a refund because I'm selling him. Alex Garner also said he's going to bin his season ticket if we sell Diakabe. Also used the hashtag YouBoy. YouBoy? What am I even doing anymore? Bradford City have finally been relegated from the Championship, and it's only taken them until the 6th of April to achieve that, so well done to them. And I mean, looking at their recent results, you could probably tell that they were going to get relegated pretty early this season. We also lost Fabian Schär for the rest of the season, and he's out for about 7 weeks with a groin strain after getting injured in the game against West Brom. I know I always go on about Ben Gibson, but I feel like the game is trying to create this narrative around him so that he has to play in the last few games of the season, cost me promotion, and he's the reason why. Peter Crouch has also pulled his hamstring, which means he's out for the last 3 weeks of the season. They really don't want me to go up this year, do they? Steve Mounier also made his 100th league appearance for us in the 2-1 win over Rotherham. I mean, a great achievement, I'm not going to lie. He probably wouldn't have made it had I made the other decision in January, but I'm glad to be here, and I'm sure you're glad to be here as well to celebrate this momentous occasion. Unfortunately, I didn't get a cake for the occasion, so hopefully he doesn't do a Yaya Toure on me and leave. And also, you can tell that Steve Mounier has been very clinical for us over the last 3 years. He somehow scored less goals in the Championship than he did in the Premier League last year. Peter Crouch has also announced that he is going to retire at the end of next season. Why not this season? Why next season? What, you're going to stay here for another year, taking 10 grand a week off me? Although everyone would probably have a go at me if I got rid of him, so we'll keep him for another year. After Jonas Lössl put in his transfer request, he has decided to move to Celtic at the end of the season. A great servant to the club. I don't know, like I've replaced him like 4 times now, so wasn't very good for me. Not a great Lössl for us.
Shut the fuck up, bitch.
Awful. I'm forcing it now. Apparently, we're about to set a new record points haul in the Championship. The existing record is currently 87, and we're on 81 points. I mean, only 6 more points, and we've got 4 games left. Surely I can break it. And if I don't, well, it's another disaster on this series. Not like every episode has been a disaster so far. And because Norwich ended up winning in the 90th minute, they ended up securing a playoff spot under Mark Hughes. Mark Hughes as manager, and he's getting success. I don't believe it. And now into the game we go against Derby County away from home. A big game. I always say that. It's a big game. It's always a big game on this series. But starting off in goal once again is Dean Henderson. He is now Premier League quality, so therefore he will be keeping his place in goal for the rest of the season. The back four sees Con Ian come right back into the team, partnering Matthias Jorgensen at centre-back. The midfield four sees 3 changes from last episode as Sergi Samper and Liam Kelly play in centre midfield, and Elias Kachunga comes in for Ollie Burke. And Nick Powell replaces Marvin Sordell as we go with a number 10 rather than 2 strikers up front. So you know how football managers over time come up with new formations to play in football, you know, such as the 4-3-3 or the 4-2-3-1 or the 5-3-2. I've come up with the number 2 formation. And why is number 2? Probably because I'm going to show you how shit it is. Well, that joke's going down the toilet. It's a good thing I've started off the match with an awful joke, because that actually sums up the first half. 0 happens. Not a single highlight, not a single shot, not even a kickoff highlight came up. I decided to make a tactical switch, and Sergi Samper was pushed forward to play alongside Kelly, while Kachunga was pushed further forward in a more advanced winger role. And it did finally trigger a highlight as Liam Kelly's free kick found Elias Kachunga at the back post, but he hit the bar with a great header. And Stoke, who were just behind us in the league table, were drawing 0-0 away at Sheffield Wednesday, so it was really handy after 76 minutes when Liam Kelly's corner found Steve Mounier at the back post to give us the 1-0 lead. And now I know why I kept him at the club. We made another tactical switch as Chris Brunt replaced Sergi Samper and Marvin Sordell replaced Kachunga. But as it looked like we were going to struggle to a 1-0 victory, Hudson-Odoi then found Steve Mounier on the edge of the box, who fired it past Scott Carson to secure all 3 points for us. Easy peasy. I love that boy, Steve. I really do. But Derby did get a chance towards the end of the game as Andre Wisdom's cross found Jack Marriott, but a superb save from Dean Henderson kept his clean sheet, and we secured the points. 2-0 away at Derby. You love to see it. But that win over Derby did at least secure us a playoff spot for this season. But I also then found out that Stoke had drawn 0-0 away at Sheffield Wednesday, which I thought was the best news we could possibly get. That was until I found out league leaders Norwich had lost away at Birmingham, which means we are now level on points with them with 3 games left of the season. Oh, it's getting tight up here. I mean, I really should be wearing looser t-shirts. So with that in mind, I thought I'd tell you what happened in the Wigan game, which I wasn't going to show in this episode, but considering how bad the last game was and the fact that we are now level on points in Norwich, we might as well. But Chris Brunt was the only change to the side that played against Derby, and he came into central midfield for Sergi Samper. And Wigan are battling relegation as well, and I think we can send them down if we beat them, so that's the incentive for me. After 25 minutes, Liam Kelly found Steve Mounier in the box, and his header found Hudson-Odoi, who put us into the lead. I mean, the bloke's not been scoring that much, but it's a pleasure to see him score again. And then only 2 minutes later, another corner from Liam Kelly was dropped by Raphael, and Steve Mounier put in the back of the net. I mean, what is Raphael doing? Like, there's no pressure under him whatsoever, and he flaps at the ball like that. And if that was my goalkeeper, he'd be on the next train to Ukraine. Not really sure why I've picked Ukraine out of every country in the world. But it wasn't plain sailing as Wigan pulled a goal back soon after as Evanson's cross found Asawi at the back post and he fired it straight past Henderson. I mean, they're making a fight of this now, Wigan. But it wasn't too long until we restored our 2-goal lead as Hudson-Odoi's run towards the edge of the box was stopped, but the ball was picked up by Nick Powell, who fired it straight past Raphael. I spent $8 million on buying Wigan Athletic and I've sent them down to League One. Easy peasy. I don't even know who the Wigan manager is. Tony Pulis? Well, I'm glad I've sent him down then. Ooh, I missed that. I don't get relegated. Well, you have now, Tony. Wow. Only a few minutes into the second half, and Anders Dreyer then found Michael Jacobs, who then fired it in. 3-2. I swear, if we bottle this now. But as we were approaching injury time, Chris Brunt got the ball from 30 yards out and just blazed it wide. That was pointless. But with only 30 seconds left of the game, Hudson-Odoi got the ball played to him on the wing, and then he cut inside, played it to Kachunga, who put it into the back of the net. 4-2, game over. See you later, Wigan. However, the disappointing thing was that after the game, I found out that Stoke had scored an 89th minute winner at home to Preston, which kept up their chances of getting automatic promotion. But Norwich won 2-1 in the 88th minute. But when I went to check the league table, I found out I went top of the league on goals scored. Oh, it's going down to the final day of the season, boys, and we're going to love to see what's going to happen.
On a little bitch, you get hit. Give me that bit with the stick. Give me that bit with the key. I get that money like blow. I'm in that bit with little meat.